everybody. Welcome to BooksterTV. I'm your host, Craig Phillips. Today I'm very, very happy to bring you yet another talented author, J.C. Laird. Born and raised in Michigan, J.C. later attended college in California before embarking on, now get this, a 30-year career in law enforcement. Now retired from that, J.C. lives in New Mexico and has much more time to write. He is an award-winning short story writer of several genres. And I'm really glad to be able to showcase his new novel. It's a romantic novel called From Time to Time. They were separated by 163 years. The year is 1850, New York City, New York. Katrina Amanson, a 22-year-old Englishwoman, is embarking on the adventure of a lifetime as the personal assistant to the famous Swedish soprano, Jenny Lind. After arriving in New York for the Divas American tour, each of the singer's entourage is presented with a brand spanking new Stagecoach steamer trunk as a gift from the tour's promoter, P.T. Barnum. Katrina's great adventure is soon to become even greater. Now, jump to the year 2013, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Nathan Thompson is a 24-year-old college senior with a bright future as a corporate attorney. His beautiful and wealthy girlfriend, Tina Wade, well, she's the perfect complement to his life. One day he discovers an old, dilapidated Stagecoach steamer trunk in his grandparents' garage and, intrigued, decides to restore it, which sets in motion events that will change his life forever. Now, through the steamer trunk, both Nathan and Katrina discover their connection across time. Now, by way of letters and pictures, shared thoughts and dreams, they fall in love. Imprisoned by time, Nathan and Katrina's feelings are put to the test. Can they safely pass through worlds and defeat time? Or will they forever remain a world apart? Now, I think you know the only way to find out will be to read J.C. Laird's book, From Time to Time. This is BooksterTV, and I'm Craig Phillips. Now, on the subject of time, if you got some more of it to spare, watch more of this BooksterTV episode, because I actually had the opportunity to speak to the author, J.C. Laird himself, and that will be coming right up. So stay tuned to see how my chat with J.C. turned out. So, how you doing?
Pretty good. Not too bad.
I'm really glad we got a chance to catch up with you and that you could take some time out for us.
Yeah, me too. You got me on a day off.
Good. So don't worry, this will be painless. I just want to pick your brain. I got a few questions that I think that our audience would love some answers to.
Sure.
Many people know that you are an award-winning author of short stories. So, Time After Time, your new novel, that's your debut book. Is that correct?
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about how you knew it was time to write a full-length novel.
Well, I had written probably approximately 17, 18 short stories, and I'd always considered the novel, and finally decided to make the leap. I says, but time to get a full-length beginning, middle, and end, really expand on the short stories, which I did.
Yeah, that's great. And actually, there's really a lot of positive buzz going on the internet right now about your project. That's pretty much how we even knew about it. I understand that authors are inspired in many ways. Do you have a muse? Or was From Time to Time one of those things you just woke up with in your head?
No, it actually started with a conversation with my daughter. Mm-hmm. Years ago, I had actually found an old Stagecoach steamer trunk in my grandparents' garage, which is the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
And restored it, and looked pretty good. And we actually, as we moved from Michigan out to New Mexico, it came with us. It was like a conversation piece. It looked good enough to have sit in the living room in the corner. And one day my daughter and I were just musing on all the things that this trunk had gone through and events that it had seen, and et cetera, et cetera. And I went online and found that it did date back to the 1800s. But I also discovered other trunks, like the Jenny Lind trunk. And of course, that led me to find out who in the world is Jenny Lind, and found out what a phenomenon she was. And she did have, as I researched, I couldn't change history and write a story about her and have her do things that I wanted her to do that didn't quite match up. So as I was researching her tour of the United States and everything that had happened, I found that she did have a traveling companion. But the best I could find out without really going any farther, but this traveling companion was older, maybe in her 40s. And Jenny Lind was 29 at the time of her tour. So I says, well, let me play with that. I'll have the original companion get hurt just before they sail for America, and I'll put in her sister-in-law, which is only in her 20s. I have a new character that history hasn't really dealt with, and now I can make a story about her.
That's great.
Tagging along with Jenny Lind. I mean, I don't have to change the facts of history or anything.
Let's say you met someone new, like me. How would you describe yourself?
No, that's a tough one. How do I describe myself? I'm not sure how to put that. I'm pretty honest, loyal, and I want to say when I start something, I stick with it. If I start a project, I'm not sure what word would fit that, but I
think probably reliable or committed, or probably a lot of words can relate to someone who follows up.
I follow through. Yeah.
How would you describe your new novel From Time to Time in your own words?
Well, it's a historical romance in the respect that half the book takes place in the past. I'm trying to think what the term is for it. It's not new adult, it's the young. No, new adult. I think young adult is up to 18. New adult, these are college kids, so I think it's that right after that. And it's a romance, and it's pretty tame by 50 Shades of Grey standards. I mean, it's, you could there's no explicit scenes in it. Most of it is suggested, and so it's a nice romance. It's a tender romance between somebody from the 1800s with somebody in the year 2013, and they're connected by a stagecoach steamer trunk that he has restored. She got it new in 1850. He found it in 2013, restored it, and it connected them. And I suppose I don't want to tell too much. They'll have to read the book if they want to find out how.
Okay. What was your favorite book to read as a child?
Well, I went through subject matters as opposed to favorite books. I got one year when I was young, went through everything about dinosaurs. I learned all about dinosaurs. Okay. Another year was all about the Civil War. And another one was all about marine biology. By the time I got to high school, I was stuck on science fiction. And went through all the masters, Ray Bradbury, Heinlein, Arthur C. Clarke, all those. The one that sticks in my mind, I think his name was Herbert. He wrote Dune, that huge science fiction.
Yeah, which became a movie later with Steve.
Yeah, so that's the one that pops into my mind in my science fiction years was Dune.
Okay.
I was amazed by it. It was so long. It was such a big book, and it was so detailed. It was amazing.
Are you a fan of books that are turned into feature films?
Yes. If the book was good, yeah. But I always make sure I read the book before the movie, because the movie can never do a well-written book justice. So should I read the book first, and then I can go and be really critical of the movie and say, boy, did they mess that up.
If there was a book No, if there was a movie made about your life, who would play you, the starring role?
Oh, can we skip that question? I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah, that would be a question that I would probably ask one of your relatives, because they would probably...
There you go, yeah. Probably Tom Hanks, I always liked him, but I'm not exactly sure what the movie he'd do, but I like him.
Do you have a favorite author of all time?
Stephen King.
You know what? I was hoping you'd say that, because that's probably mine as well.
I don't know if you can see my bookcase behind me.
Yeah, I do.
It's had, or is it on this side? Is that bookcase over there?
Yeah.
I know. I think I have every book he's ever written. I belong to the Stephen King library. He writes one, they send me the book.
Oh yeah, I've got every Stephen King book as well, but I don't have a library shelf. I literally have all of them in my pad, my iPad.
Ah, okay. I'm just old-fashioned. I like the old page turning and thing. But yeah, I was always just fascinated by his writing style, the detail he went in with his characters and his scenes. It was always just amazed me. It still does. Sometimes people say, "Oh, I don't like what the things he writes about." And I said, well, read them all. He runs from the Way Out There, left field, all the way down to I think his last with Mr. Mercedes was a murder mystery. The supernatural in it. So I like him as a writer, the way he writes.
So do I, and I'm always impressed by how much he can write, because he's so prolific. He can.
Oh, yeah, I can't. He comes out with these 500-page books, and before a year is out, he's got another one published. How does he do that?
Yeah.
I have, it's amazing.
So yeah,
amazing.
It really blows my mind. How many books have you started and not finished?
Just one, and that one I'm working on now, and it was actually half done when, from time to time, hit me, and I dropped the other novel and wrote this one. Now I have to go back to which was going to be the first one. So I usually finish what I start.
Okay, and can you tell us about the next novel, or is it hush hush at the moment?
Well, it's not really hush-hush. It's based on a short story that I had written, and it's a 180-degree swing from the first one. The first one's a nice, tender love story. The second one is about a serial killer, a killer thriller. So they can't be any completely different than they already are.
Yeah, sure. If you were given the chance for a do-over in life, what would you do again?
Oh, yes. You can come up with more than one thing, but one particular thing that comes to my mind was I wouldn't have stopped. I would have went to college. I would have continued writing. I would have been like Stephen King. He hit the writing trail when he was in college, and that's what I should have done. I should have hit it then and gone on, and that's what I would do over. One thing I would do over if I had it, but it's an can't go back now.
Well,
I can only do is the time I have left, and so that's what I'm doing.
That's good. All right, I know this is not an easy question for an author to answer, but tell us why someone should buy and read your novel from time to time.
Well, it depends. People like different genres. If somebody was expecting a murder mystery, I'd say you're not going to like this book. Or a sportsman. Some people like different things, but they said, "Well, yeah, I like romances." And I said, "Well, you'll like this one. It's got its tender scenes. It's got some suspense in it. I've had people that have read it. They said, I couldn't put it down. I had to find out, what was going to happen, because, like I say, it alternates between 2013 and 1850. And I alternated the chapters. One chapter is from 1850, next one's from 2013. And so people say I had to read out what's going to happen. I had to, what his girlfriend was going to do. I had to find out this, and so if you like a nice tender romance with a little suspense in it, then you would probably like this. And it's got a strong female character. I just want to point out, when I started the book, it was one of those, my main character, the protagonist, was going to be the young man. And as I wrote the book, the female took it over. She became the main character. She was the most fascinating and interesting, the assistant to Jenny Lind. So if you people like that, they'll even like this one even more. That's why I'd say you read it. If you're into that type of literature, that genre, then you would like this. I would recommend it.
What advice do you have for aspiring authors?
Yeah, first one to come is the stock answer that most quote experts give us. Keep writing. Write every day. Write when you don't want to write. Which is good and which is true. You should. But one thing that I've noticed that always bothered me, and I would, especially younger writers, that practice your writing in your everyday communication. Your emails. You're typing out an email. Like I get emails from them. Because it's an email, because it's to somebody they know, they don't capitalize their I's. They don't put in their punctuation. They don't check their spelling. And I see it really behooves you to practice your writing, your grammar, the whole thing in everything you do. You're going to write a paragraph to mom. You make sure that everything's spelled correctly. It's punctuated. It's capitalized like you should. You develop that habit. Then when you do write your stories, your book, you won't fall into the bad habits of, oh, geez, I forgot to spell that. I forgot to capitalize that. So that my piece of advice, and I've seen it a lot, is everything that you write, no matter how private you think it is or it's just to another person, practice writing the correct way.
Yeah, I can totally agree with you there. It seems like we live in a text message era.
Correct.
And I got to tell you, it's definitely one of my big pet peeves.
Yeah, well, it's one of my pet peeves. I get something from somebody and they haven't taken the time to vet their message, and you're going to have trouble when you go and write your book, because you're going to start doing the same things over again. Do it the right way all the time.
Okay, Mr. J.C. Laird, that's all the time we have. But I really, really want to thank you sincerely for taking the time out and letting me pick your brain a bit.
Well, Craig, I appreciate that you interviewing me on from time to time, and I hope everybody that's interested in a nice, light, tender romance will buy the book, because you'll enjoy it. Thank you.
That was the author J.C. Laird, and this is BooksterTV. I'm your host, Craig Phillips, and I look forward to coming back soon with another great author and, of course, a killer book. So until then, read on.